Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in. And as we know, every offseason, preseason, there are some surprise cuts that happen within every NFL roster. And today, we're going to react to an article that looks at exactly that. A player from each team that could be surprisingly cut, or one that we might see coming that could be cut from their roster. But I'm not going to make this too much longer. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, as we're looking at this was posted May 19th, 2024, and we're going to give for one for every team. The AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin. Now, that one, I possibly can see that one happening, and even though the Bills at this point, they've lost a lot on defense, whether it's Tre'Davious Wright, whether it's Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, they have lost a ton on this defense, so cut Damar Hamlin, maybe, but not sure. Miami Dolphins, Jeff Wilson Jr., with Mostert, with a chain, maybe he probably does get as the odd guy out with Mostert and a chain. I can never say that name right. Those two more fit in that Mike McDaniels and the speed, so he could possibly be the odd guy out. For the New England Patriots, Bailey Zappi, that could possibly be a thing with Drake May, who they just drafted, Jacoby Brissett, who they also added into the roster. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Is he a candidate? Absolutely. I just don't see that happening. And with the New York Jets, we have Allen Lazard, which maybe so, with Garrett Wilson, with the receivers that they have and the Jets roster, possibly. He does have some rapport with Aaron Rodgers, so maybe, like it says here, it says financial savings, maybe, but I just think if it has anything to do with the Aaron Rodgers connection, I possibly don't see that happening, but only so little. AFC North, Baltimore Ravens, Tylan Wallace. They did sign Deontay Hardy, they did sign Tez Walker, they do have Zay Flowers on their roster. I still have never been a big believer in the Ravens wide receiving core, even though Zay Flowers turned out to be a very good player for them. They also got Mark Andrews coming back healthy, even though that's tight end position, but possibly. Cincinnati Bengals, Trent Brown. Well, picking Amarius Mims in the first round, maybe so. Possibly Trent Brown could be the guy out, but I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. Cleveland Browns, David Bell. Well, they did just trade for Jerry Jeudy, even though I personally think Jerry Jeudy, at this point of his career, has basically been nothing. And he hasn't really been much for the Denver Broncos. It's interesting to see how he's going to implement himself in Cleveland with Amari Cooper. And I don't know. That's the one to wait and see. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cole Holcomb. Now, with them signing Patrick Queen, they added Peyton Wilson in the draft. That was a position that they really needed to get some help at. Cole Holcomb, he didn't have a bad year until the injury. So it's interesting to see if he is going to be the guy out with that Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker core. I think that was something they needed to add, and they did with Patrick Queen and Wilson. So Holcomb, I don't know. We shall see. AFC South, Robert Woods, I think so. This is one that I can easily see happening. Robert Woods being out with Nico Collins, with them having Stephon Diggs added, Tank Dell. Robert Woods just did not see much of the field last year. And I could easily see him being the odd guy out with this wide receiving core. And according to this, they can save $5 million. They also added Ben Skoranek. They have John Mechie. They have Noah Brown from The Ohio State University. So Robert Woods could be a guy that's easily cut. I can easily see this one happening. Easily see this one happening. And I wouldn't even be shocked if it happened even before training camp or after training camp. I can easily see this one happen. Indianapolis Colts, Mo Alley Cox. Now, he has been a candidate that's been on cut list for like the last 2-3 years. I don't see it. I just don't. And even though that says he could likely be the fourth string tight end, we've been saying that, not me, but I've been seeing this about Mo Alley Cox for approximately the last couple of years, and he still ended up on the Colts roster. So I won't see it until I won't believe it until I see it. Jaguars, Riley Patterson. Now, I will be honest with you guys. I'm not familiar with their kicking position, but they did draft Cam Little according to this, but we shall see. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and lie or try to put on the front. I'm not too familiar with the kicking position with the Jaguars. If you're a Jaguars fan, leave your thoughts in the comments down below, but I'm not sure about this one. Tennessee Titans, Trey Avery. Interesting with the corner position, they did bring L'Jarius Sweed. They did have Jadubia Awuzie. Caleb Farney, he didn't have that great of a career there. They have Eric Garrett, Jarvis Burnley. I don't know. I'm not too sure about this one either. With the Tennessee Titans as a rebuilding roster, they can keep any player that can contribute. I mean, do it. Next is the AFC West. Tim Patrick, wide receiver. Now, I can see this one is, he's been dealing with a ton of injuries these last 2 years. He had the Achilles, he had the knee injury. He can be productive. He can be productive, but it's just the injury bug. Now, the Broncos need weapons. They need weapons to help Bo Nix develop. They need weapons. If Tim Patrick can stay healthy, and that's been the main part, I don't see why they let him go. But if it's just the injury history, I see it from that aspect. Because he's been hurt. But when he's in, he's been productive. So we shall see. Kansas City Chiefs, Kadarius Toney. I mean, you can also put Clyde Edwards-Helaire on this list. And I'm not sure if he's still with the team or not. But you can put Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. And with the Kadarius Toney, I mean, for him to be a big acquisition in 2022, and for him to basically diminish in 2023 with mistakes, dropping the football, I can see him going. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs needs weapons like yesterday, but Kadarius Toney just hasn't panned out. Whether the Giants or the Chiefs, he just hasn't panned out, but only so much. Las Vegas Raiders, Harrison Bryant. Now, this one is interesting, as in they drafted Brock Bowers. They drafted Michael Mayer last year. They have Zach Gentry on the roster, so I'm still surprised at them drafting Brock Bowers. He could just be the odd guy out. Harrison Bryant has proven he can be productive at that tight end position, but when you have an overload with the Michael Mayer, who had a solid rookie year, Brock Bowers, who you bring in, I still think they should have went elsewhere in the draft, but Brock Bowers is a player that can change a game, so I understand it from that aspect. But yeah, Harrison Bryant could be the odd guy out. And the Chargers, Chris Rump at the edge. Now, it's possible because you have Bosa, Khalil Mack, Tui Pulotu, and Bud Dupree at that position, so he just probably might be the odd guy out. I'm not really surprised by this one at all. Yeah, he could just be the odd guy out when it comes to that. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. For me, it is very important to have a VPN to protect my online privacy. It'd be very, very creepy if there was someone out there who kept a log of every single thing that you did online. So why let your internet provider really do that to you online? The best thing to do is to get yourself a VPN, and why not go with ExpressVPN, the best VPN available. Personally, I like it for the fact that you can unlock Netflix shows that you do not get in the US market. Now, one show that I've started to get myself into is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You search Brooklyn Nine-Nine in the US, doesn't come up, but you can switch your location to Canada and you can research Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, and bam, it pops up right then and there, and you can catch up on your episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Now, if you click the link in the description below, you will get 3 free months of ExpressVPN. Just by clicking the link below and you sign up today, you will get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. All you have to do is click the link down below and you will get ExpressVPN. Now, let's just get back to the video. Next is the NFC East. Chelsea Golston, defensive line. They have, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure about this one. I mean, he probably will get some reps, preseason reps, training camp, because that defensive line, especially the interior, can use anybody that they can handle. So I'll wait on seeing that one. Darren Waller, I can see that because he just hasn't been productive, especially the last couple of years in his career. They could save money by releasing him, but if he's productive, why not keep him, especially when you're trying to have Daniel Jones basically prove himself. So I'm kind of mixed on this one because when Darren Waller is in and he's healthy and he's performing, he's one of the better tight ends. He just haven't been proving it. He just hasn't been proving it, and he didn't have a good year last year, even though they had a bunch of quarterback issues. So James Bradbury, now this one doesn't come as a surprise as they did draft Cooper DeJean, they did draft Quinion Mitchell, and Bradbury didn't really have a great 2023. And I was surprised that they kind of brought him back last year, but in addition, they could cut him and save some money. I wouldn't be surprised if that one happens. Washington Commanders, Dayami Brown. I mean, he's talented. From what I've seen of him, he's talented. You have him, you have McLaurin, you have Dotson, and I think he has some speed. Was mostly a special teams player. So, I mean, if it's a weapon that can help Jaden Daniels develop, why not keep him? But that's just me. You need all the weapons you can get, especially when you have a young developing quarterback. NFC North, Bears, Dominique Robinson. Now, I can see this one happen. Dominique Robinson, he just hasn't been the player that we thought he would develop into. Draft him in 2022. And with Montez Sweat, they drafted Austin Booker. I mean, you can keep it for depth purposes. DeMarcus Walker is also in that depth rotation. But Dominique Robinson, I can see this one happening because he just hasn't really been productive throughout the course of his Bears career. And he hasn't been the player that we thought with the athleticism that he can develop into at that edge rusher. So I could see them being a cut here. And especially if they add another player like an Agba or they bring Yannick Ngakoue back, I could easily see this one being truthful. Detroit Lions, Levi Ozuruki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But, I mean, they did draft Miko Wingo in the 6th round. And they cut a little bit, save a little bit of money. But I still think they need some to keep their interior good. So I'm going to wait and see on that one. Packers, Andrews Carson. He did struggle a bit last year with that kicking and getting rid of Mason Crosby. He has some struggles kicking the football. And I can see if he's a possible cut. I could see that one. Vikings, Nick Mullins. I can see this one as well. You brought in Sam Darnold. You have Jaron Hall. You drafted J.J. McCarthy. Somebody is going to be the odd man out or on the practice squad. Nick Mullins qualifies as that guy. Jaron Hall could possibly qualify on that guy. So it's probably between him and Jaron Hall at the quarterback position as far as if they want to keep one or keep one on the practice squad. So I can see this one happen. NFC South, you have Taylor Heineke. Yeah, I can see this one because honestly, he's not going to see the field. You have Penix, who you just drafted, so you're going to put some stock into him. You have Kirk Cousins, who you paid all this money to, so you're going to put some stock in him. So Heineke is probably the odd guy out. I would have possibly wanted to see him in somewhere where he can compete, get some starting, maybe not necessarily be the starter, but compete to be a starter. He's just not going to see it in Atlanta. I'm one with Taylor Heineke who he is a serviceable backup. Very serviceable backup. Maybe Chicago, somebody serviceable to back up Caleb Williams. I'm just saying. I'm not going to say Chicago, but somewhere where he can be a serviceable backup. And when somebody gets hurt, he can come in and just fill the gap. That's what he's been throughout the course of the last couple of years. So I can see him being cut and put somewhere else. Terrence Marshall Jr., yeah, I can see that. Maybe Miles Sanders is a possible candidate. I thought I would have seen Miles Sanders here. Miles Sanders didn't really basically have the year that he wanted it to have. Chuba Herbert basically took over the running back role for the Panthers. So Terrence Marshall Jr. possibly. Miles Sanders possibly could be the cut as well. So between one of those two, I wouldn't be surprised. DeMarco Jackson, now, I'm not too familiar with him. Demario Davis is a little bit older. Pete Warner, Ohio State University guy. They also signed Willie Gay, which I'm just now learning that. I didn't realize he went to the New Orleans Saints. So if you're talking about it, looking at it that way, yeah, he could probably be the odd guy out. And to the Buccaneers, Cole Kieft, Kay Otten was basically starter. They got Payne Duro, Delvin Cup. I'm not too familiar with this one either. So this is not a name that I particularly know too well, but options, he could be the wild guy out. Next, last but not least, NFC West. Cardinals, Zach Pascal, who they did just draft Marvin Harrison Jr. from The Ohio State University. But they did trade Rondell Moore to the Falcons. Maybe Zach Pascal can see a little bit of a role. Maybe so, but I don't know. Rams, Laurel Murchison. I mean, they did have Kobe Turner, who turned out to be good. Brandon Fisk, Bobby Brown III. They have a retired Aaron Donald now. Aaron Donald is no longer in the building, so interesting to see what they're going to do at that defensive tackle spot as a whole now that Aaron Donald is retired. But Murchison, possible. Elijah Mitchell could be that. Yes, for the 49ers, Elijah Mitchell. He's been dealing with some injury struggles, and he's had the backup role ever since they acquired Christian McCaffrey, who's basically been the workhorse running back. I can see this one. Elijah Mitchell is talented, do not get me wrong, but he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And for the Seahawks, it's D. Eskridge, but I can see that with Metcalf, Lockett, Jackson Smith-Jigba from the Ohio State University. There has been coaching changes. There's been a lot of things changing within the Seattle Seahawks organization, and he could be the odd guy out, especially with Shane Waldron, the offensive coordinator, leaving. Eskridge could just be the odd guy out at this point. So, hey, that's every candidate. That's my reaction to this thing in this article. Leave you guys comments in the section below, but I'll see you guys next time. Peace.